Hey, everybody, welcome back to Homeschooled Podcast. I'm Augustino Zoida. I'm your host. I'm excited today because I have a guest today. I love having guests, especially when they're great, especially when they're awesome, especially when they're funny, especially when they're my good friends. Today, I have on actor, comedian, stuntman, Brandon Loeser. I've known this guy for a while. I'm excited that he's coming back to stand up. But also, today, we're talking about his role in a new show that's called Jury Duty. And it's hilarious, and I had to have him on. When I saw this show, I was blown away how funny it was, and I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it. And I think you're going to enjoy this episode, which is a great insight on some of the behind the scenes and how they cast it, which I thought was brilliant, and great stories from the show, and also talking about Brandon's comeback to stand up, which I'm really happy for. So I hope you enjoy the show.
Please take your seats. School is now in session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschooled.
The Homeschooled Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey.
Welcome back to Homeschool Podcast. I'm really happy today. I am. And I don't know if you could tell by my red face, which is slash sunburn / I started drinking. It's Friday. And I'm also happy because Brandon Loeser is on the show. My good buddy. I love you, dude. I'm so glad that you're here. It's so good to see you. And we're going to talk about a show that Brandon is on right now. And honestly, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I feel like I don't want to insult anybody, but I feel like more people should know about this show. Is that the wrong thing to say?
No, it's blown up. Like if I just got on TikTok, but it's huge on TikTok, and
it's like it's a hidden gem if you haven't heard about it.
I think so too. Yeah,
I think if you may have seen it, because me personally, before I knew you were in it, I popped up. When you go to your smart TV, it just shows you Amazon Prime. All the stuff that's streamed right now. It's right there, and you're like, "What's this?" I don't know these people. All this stuff like that. I know that one.
Did you watch it without knowing that I was in it?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
I when I first saw it, I didn't know you were in it. And then I started seeing you post about it. And I was like, oh, he's in that. Let me give it a try. And I got to tell you, dude, it's probably the funniest thing on television in the past. What would you say? I don't know. I mean, The Office is probably what I would say. But I think there's a lot of shows that people like that I just don't.
Yeah.
I think that
it's the guys from The Office that produced it. So
that's right. Which I totally see. It's that mockumentary style, I suppose you could say, but I think it's one layer deeper than that, because there was by the way, I still haven't finished it, so don't.
Okay.
I'm pretty far into it. I may only have like one episode left. Okay. But I would say it's like one layer deeper than The Office, because there's moments I'm watching the show and I still don't know, like, is there one person, is the main dude still not know that this is a show? Like, you still kind of question that. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Is everybody else an actor except for him? It's almost like, The Office was a mockumentary of like a reality sitcom, right? And this is the same thing, except that it's like a reality hidden camera show almost, in the sense that like the guy thinks that it's just I don't know, he thinks they're doing a documentary on jury duty. Is that what he's doing?
Jury duty. Yeah, it's like Truman Show. It's literally that, because he was immersed in this for 3.5 weeks and honestly had no idea. Like, he's still discovering things, because we're all friends, and that's really weird to me, because I've worked on other shows before and never been friends with people, walked away from a show going, there's some of us that talk every day.
Yeah.
We're on a little Wordle group, and so every day we connect, and I see them tomorrow. We're doing a panel down at UC Irvine, because one of the guys used to be a professor there, and he quit and became an actor. And he'd done improv too, and so it wasn't like he just said,
like Dr. Ken,
actor,
right?
Yeah, and he played Ken in the show. His name's
that's funny.
Ron.
That's right.
Yeah, and Yeah, so he's invited everybody and everybody down to UC Irvine tomorrow. So it's kind of like a big Q&A.
So I'm going to get into the show a little bit more really quick. I want to give a heads up to everybody. I got some shows coming up. My May is very, very busy. My June is a little hiatus, and then the tour picks up again from July through the rest of the year. But here's what I got for you in May. This weekend, I'll be in Paso Robles, California. It's Wine Week. If you don't know, Paso Robles is a big wine festival. If you're anywhere in that area, even San Luis Obispo, you know that Wine Week is huge in Paso Robles. I'm very honored to be playing the Wine Week. It's all bands. I'm the only comedian, which is the last day of Wine Week on Saturday, May 20th. One show, pretty limited seating. So if you haven't got tickets already, go. It's a lot of fun. I taped my special at this location last year. It's just great. Like the facility is great. The venue is amazing. It's a huge compound. Like my show is indoors at the hall. Outside, they have more outdoor stages with like country bands, rock bands. It's really cool. I'm excited for it. My parents are going, which I'm excited for. My parents probably haven't seen me on stage in maybe 8 years, and they've never seen me headline. They've only seen me as an opener. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And then after that is Memorial Weekend. So Saturday of Memorial Weekend, which is the 27th, I will be in Memphis, Tennessee. The day after that, May 28th, which is a Sunday, I will be in Shelby Township, Michigan, which is just outside Detroit. And you can get tickets for these shows at augustinocomedian.com/tour, or just Augustino Comedian, click on tour. If I didn't mention a city near you, I got a lot of dates. I'm booked for the rest of the year. I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to Canada. I got a lot of dates. Just make sure you head to the website, augustinocomedian.com. I'd love to see you guys at a show. Let's get back to Brandon and talking about, we'll talk a little bit about stand-up too in a second, because I'm excited that you're coming back to stand-up and that you're going to do my workshop. Not that it's a class. I mean, my workshop mic for fun. But we'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about jury duty.
And I actually want to say, this is the first podcast I've ever done 5 years ago or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it must have been. Yeah,
and I remember we sat down, you hit record. Right before you hit record, I was like, so how long is this? You're like, about an hour. I'm like, an hour? What are we going to talk about for an hour? And it flew by so fast.
It flies by, right?
It's like, yeah, and it's partly because of you, because it's so much fun to talk to you, and we went over a lot of stuff.
Thanks, man.
I know they're a lot shorter now. You're doing shorter episodes.
I could talk comedy all day. Yeah, they're shorter now because of Zoom. because Zoom cuts you off at like 40 minutes. But I started doing the Zooms. You know, I was doing. Did you do a Zoom podcast with me, or did you do an in-person?
No, we were in person at your place.
Yeah. It was. During the pandemic, I had to stop having in-house guests because some people didn't feel comfortable being close to me. And so the Zoom worked, and I never went back because it just became so much easier for everybody. And I can get more guests on who are not nearby. And I started doing a lot alone. I started having the best numbers I've ever had doing podcasts by myself, just talking, and that hour goes by quick, especially if you're alone and there's no Zoom timer. And but yeah, we'll keep it short, which I think that people's attention span's a little lower now. I mean, I got into podcasts driving and walking, which really killed the time, and people listen to it at work. But there's so many podcasts that I think a shorter one is better. You can get a lot of podcasting in one day. And YouTube likes the algorithm of shorter videos. The hell do I know, man? I'm just a comic.
You're doing it, man. You're doing it.
Well, it's great to have you back on, and I'm so excited for you that you were a part of this great project, which it just came out of nowhere for me, it seems like, and it's great. I feel like it's going to be a Cobra Kai situation, which obviously comes from the background of Karate Kid, so it had a fan base already. But Cobra Kai started on YouTube. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it was the first season you had to subscribe to YouTube, and then people were like, we want to see more seasons of this, and YouTube didn't want to pick up the contract, and it's now just giant on Netflix.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
I see
My friend
this
that stunt
happening.
coordinated that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But you said you did or your friend did?
No, my friend did. Hito Koda, he did like the first, I think 3 or 4 seasons, something like that.
I mean, it's great. And I see that happening for Jury Duty. I see it catching this fan base that is going to grow. And I can see people wanting to see more.
Well, yeah, I don't think they advertised. I know they put 1 or 2 big billboards up on Hollywood Boulevard, and that's all I saw of it. And then all of a sudden, it just kept gaining traction because of TikTok, and they had over 200 million like hashtags or whatever views, and people are reposting clips from it, and that's where it blew up. I think because of that. But
it's very funny. I can see it.
And like people in like courtrooms and lawyers and judges are now watching it, and they're enjoying it. It's like it's reaching so many different like age ranges, and yeah, it's really.
I could see it making famous memes and GIFs that we will use for a really long time. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about the show a little bit without giving anything away. And by the way, guys, watch the show. Like, if anybody knows me, I'm very particular with what I watch. I'm like, I'm so like picky about, especially when it comes to sitcoms and movies, that I think that Friends is the worst sitcom that's ever been on television. Like that's how picky I am. Okay, which is obviously not popular opinion, but everybody I've told go watch Jury Duty has come back to me and said, "Oh my God, I just finished it like in one day, and it's so good." Yeah, it's so funny, man. So funny.
Well,
so
and they're quick little episodes. They're half-hour episodes.
Easy watches.
And they leave cliffhangers.
It's always a cliffhanger because you want to you just want to watch the next one.
Yeah, and as far as unscripted as it was, it's like they had outlines on what they wanted to do, and then whatever, Ronald was the only guy that wasn't an actor. Everybody was either background or series regulars or guest stars or co-stars, whatever. Everybody was an actor, and sometimes they took writers and made them actors, and anybody he had contact with was an actor,
which The Office did a lot.
Yeah,
The Office would take like Toby is a writer and producer on The Office, and was never meant to be in it. There's Creed from The Office is a writer.
Yeah,
and he
was he did background. He was only like background.
He did some background too.
And then they asked him. Then he accidentally was given a line. From what I've watched, and I listen to the Office Ladies podcast too, and they did the whole rewatch thing. They've had him on, and he talks about having such a small part. Now it's you cut to the end of the series, and he's huge.
He's a major cast member.
Yeah,
it's insane. I would say this show kind of is like, it reminds me of like the early millennium, late 90s MTV dating show, like reality dating show where people are forced to live in a house together meets The Office.
Yeah, and so the way I got cast, everybody else was cast. I think I might have been one of the last people to get cast. I got called from a stunt coordinator because I do a stunt in the show. And he couldn't tell me much about it. He was like, it's kind of like a prank show, but not really. And that guy works a lot with Jackass and Johnny Knoxville and all those movies, that coordinator. So he didn't know me. He got referred to me by another guy, Dan Brown, who's another stunt guy. He wasn't available, and he's like, call Brandon, because I used to do a lot of Conan stuff. And so he talked to me for about 10 minutes. He goes, yeah, I think it'll work out. And I had to send in an audition to one of the casting people, and they're like, yeah, in 2 weeks, keep these dates available. I'm like,
right.
Okay. And then I show up to set, and all these people are talking like they've known each other forever, the cast.
Yeah.
We haven't met Ronald yet. This is weeks before we met Ronald. And I'm like, how does everybody know each other? Well, they'd already been rehearsing for a little bit before I got there. So I didn't go through the whole casting process, but with the casting, like they did focus groups and they put some real people in a focus group and watched a couple trailers. And then they had actors that they were going to cast in this. And nobody could let each other know that I'm an actor, I'm here for this. So it was all played real. They had cameras in there. And then at the end of it, that's how they pick their people.
That's insane. Let me make sure I gathered that correctly. So everyone's an actor in the entire show, but each person was told that they're an act, like everybody else is not an actor.
So that was the audition process.
I see.
Yeah. And then once we all got cast, everybody knew who we were. And then
God, what a brilliant idea for casting.
And then on the day they had under 5 people and background people. So there was a lot of people we didn't know that first day that we met Ronald as well. But we all knew who he was. We're like, okay, that's the guy. And it was just to take him on that trip and not be a prank show was really, it was a balancing act that they did so well. That prank show, meaning that they're not there to make fun of him. They're not there to put him down. That's what I mean by, or somebody running in with a bomb strapped on their chest, trying to get a scare thing out of it.
I got that feel. I got that like Impractical Jokers hidden camera feel, which I think is brilliant because of how successful Impractical Jokers is, but it's applying to what works.
Right. And that's like one day or a couple hours. This was 3.5 weeks that they kept this guy in a ride. And man, I don't know how they did it. And he constantly throughout the whole series kept going, feels like a reality show.
All right, so
because it was,
because it is,
because it was.
All right, here's some dumb fun questions coming at you. Okay. All right. First one is, I know you, and I know that you're a stuntman. And when I first started watching the show, and spoiler alert, you get hurt.
Yeah,
you get injured, which I was like, I thought to myself, did they have to cast a stuntman for that?
I know. Well, because it's like we didn't know like exactly. I mean, they had an idea what they wanted to do with the fall, and as a stunt person looking at that, they're like, that's simple. But somebody that doesn't know anything, they're like, that was amazing. We're like, all right, if that's what you think, that's great. But and we had to do it safely. Had to have the mindset to make sure that nothing could go wrong if it did. And then I couldn't use pads. There wasn't any pads on the ground. It was like, so that's why they needed somebody, because they could easily just tipped over a cabinet and somebody laid down, if they wanted to. But I'm glad they didn't, because they could have used anybody. So yeah, it's like, could they? Maybe, but I think because the experience I have, I was able to, I told them, like, we had a big safety meeting the day we're going to do it. And I was like, there might be a time, I said, I might cut myself, I might bleed. There's a guy, Ross, who's the teacher in the show. He's like my first responder. So he and I had a communication, like if something were to go wrong, I would let him know as the actor, I'm hurt. And then he would let somebody else know, incognito, that we really needed a real medic. I said, so if I cut myself or if I hurt myself, keep going, because I don't want to blow this thing. And then I made sure that I was like, you got to have real paramedics, because you don't know this guy's, his background. He might know some CPR. He might know some first responder stuff. And if you get somebody that's just there to wheel in a gurney, And he starts asking questions, and that paramedic doesn't know what he's talking about. I've seen shows where somebody, take his pulse. They told a background guy to take somebody's pulse, but while camera's doing the move, he's like this.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, "What? No, down here," right before camera got to them, because he didn't know. He's not a paramedic. He doesn't know how to take someone's pulse. And you wouldn't do that anyway, but whatever. But I was like, you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing, so he's not in on it. And then if I get hurt, we have these, like, if I'm knocked out, the guy's going to know I'm knocked out. And, thankfully none of that happened, but we had backups on backups, just in case something were to happen. So to hire somebody that wasn't a stunt person, I don't know.
Did you just get the 10-minute warning?
No.
I got it on my end. I got it on my end.
Wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was fast.
30 minutes blew by. But
all right, we'll keep talking.
Let me give you the next
question.
Yeah, let me give you the next question. Remember, dumb, fun questions. Okay. I personally have never had to do jury duty. Have you ever had to do jury duty before in real life?
Yes. And I have an audition that I posted. That's how I think I got this.
I saw that post.
Okay, that's real. That's a real story. I did jury duty, and then on like the 5th day, they settled. And I was like, what? I guess I'm never going to find out. And so I was like, this sucks. So as much as I hated going, I got interested in the case, and I was like, oh, this will be cool. Let's see what happens. And then nothing. I was like, man, I mean, she was wrong. She was guilty, but it's like, I wanted to see what, we never got to deliberation. We never, any of that.
I saw that you posted your audition tape where you were like, I was a little sad that jury duty ended so early. I want to do jury duty.
Yeah. So I got called the week the show came out, our show, Jury Duty. I got called for jury duty. Thankfully, I didn't have to go in. I had to keep calling every day to see if I was going in. But I was like, is that it's not irony, but it's coincidence.
It's so funny though.
Art imitates life, but now life's imitating art.
Well, if you really did get picked for jury duty, the whole time you might have been like, is this a show?
Yeah. And even while they were filming, I knew is on that guy, but there's times where we all felt like this. We're like, wait, are they fucking with me?
You would have had to pull a James and listen, this is going to conflict because I'm an actor. Get paparazzi to come in and take a picture of you.
Yeah.
I think that how funny would it be if this became a spinoff of The Office? Because, Stanley, the character Stanley always talked about how much he wanted to do jury duty. When he talks about, like, he loves his crime dramas, and he's like, someone paying for my lunch in an air-conditioned building. That's like his dream, to do jury duty.
Yep.
That would be so funny if they like introduced the Stanley character in the next season.
Yeah, I know they're talking about a second season, but they haven't talked to us about it. They haven't talked to me about it, so we're all up in the air, so we don't know what's happening.
Well, I hope the best for it, man. And
that would be cool.
I'm so glad that it's getting the recognition that it deserves. It's really funny. It's one of the funniest things I've seen on television in a while, and I'm happy that you're in it, man. I was watching it with Jen, and a couple of times. The only thing I can see is you in a dress on a piano. For those of you at home,
I was gonna say, people are like, wait, what?
Brandon has an annual Christmas play that him and his brother. How many years? 20 years.
It'll be now? 24.
Oh my God, 24 years in a row, and it's probably my 4th or 5th. It's become a Christmas tradition.
I think it's
for
more.
me.
I think you might more than that.
I go every Christmas. So. It's a local play that's just a hilarious Christmas play, and so watching you in it, it was just like giving me like little flashbacks of some funny characters you play in the play. But yeah, man, I'm really happy about it, and I'm really happy about your stand-up, that you're breaking back into it. Because I mean, I'm not saying that you left it. I'm saying I don't know. You tell me, but I haven't seen you in a while do stand-up.
No, I haven't, and I did it back in January. And then I'm up in Santa Clarita. I did 10 minutes, and then I have another 10 minutes in June, same place at the Main. So I'm getting back into it. Happy to do yours. It's gonna be a lot of fun. How many minutes are we doing? 5, 7?
5 minutes. It's easy.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody's doing 5.
Perfect. So I want to hone that down. So I have a lot to talk about, life stuff, and I'll see if that makes it. And I have some new stuff that, I definitely I want to work before I get it. I don't want to just try new stuff. I want to, our good friend, Rich Warren, he's going to do it too. And, and we always bounce each other, how's this joke? And
it's great. It's great to have a buddy that you trust with that. And that's the reason I'm doing this is, what's funny, Brandon, and we got 4 minutes left, but I'm going to tell you really quickly is that there's a lot of comics that have been doing it longer than me or a little less than me or the same amount of time as I've been doing it. When I tell them, like, do you guys want to hit an open mic? It's like I asked them if they wanted to go jump off a cliff, I work professionally as a comedian. I get paid. I'm a paid comedian. I'm a touring comedian. I have never had any problems with doing open mics. I love writing. I love working with other comics and getting feedback from other comics. And it makes me like, I tell some guys, you want to go do this mic? And they go like, no, I don't do open mics. Open mics in LA are stupid. And then I go watch them live, and it's like, that joke's not great. You're bombing. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, maybe don't shun open mics because you had a bad experience, because there's a lot of pay to play mics.
Sure.
Which I don't want to make my people do.
There's some real quick there. I've been to several, like, years ago. It's like, so it's been 8 years since I've really done it. And I'm kind of getting back into it now, but we would do some open mics, and you'd watch the same guys and ladies go up and do the same jokes, same inflection, same and it get the same response of nothing. And it's like, no, the audience is telling you it needs work. Yeah. There might be something there, but you have to tweak it. And I'm sure you're constantly like, how do I make this better? How do I make it faster, funnier, quicker? It's like, what's the gist of the joke? And then you can expand on that. But if you don't have a joke, it's horrible to watch those guys going, what are you doing?
I know. The audience feedback is important. But also, I've been doing comedy 14 and a half years. I'm at a place where I don't need to know the reaction of open micers, because that's the biggest complaint about open mics is like, oh, those guys don't laugh at anything. They're all comics. I don't need them to laugh at anything. I need to say it out loud to hear if there's anything there. Right. And I can tell what's going to be a bit and what's not based on me saying it, not their reaction. And I feel like if you're doing it that long, you can tell.
And you're not going to get chuckle laughter out of other comedians. Yeah. Like, you might get a nice or cool. Yeah. I do a couple, oh shit, that was good.
I do a couple pay to play. I don't mind, because it's like a gym membership to me. Mm-hmm. Because I make money on the road, but I want to make sure that I have jokes that are good. But I love workshopping and open mics and talking to comics afterwards and getting people's tags and stuff like that. And it's the community for me that is great, which is why I wanted to start this mic. I'm doing a pop-up mic. It's always going to be at a different location. It's going to be randomly once a month here and there. And it's going to be by invite only. So it's not going to be like, I hope people show up for our open mic today. No, and it's not pay to play. It's just, if you get a text from me, I invited you to do my mic. Everybody does 5 minutes. Everybody's encouraged to help other people give tags. I don't like writing rooms, open mics where they yell shit out to you while you're on stage, because I want to be working on my shit. Write it down. After it's done, you have tags for everybody. And that's what I wanted to create. And I'm glad that you're doing it. It's May 17th, which is all full now. But if there's any comics out there that want to, message me on Instagram at Augustino Zoida, or go to AugustinoComedian.com and click on contact. We have less than a minute here. Brandon, thanks so much. I can't wait to see you on Wednesday for the open mic. Everybody, you should go watch Jury Duty. I think it's hilarious. And Brandon, you're amazing in it. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and rub one out. That's my boy Brandon, and you nailed it, man. I'm super happy for you.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see you.
It'll be fun. We're gonna have a good time.
Hell yeah, man. All right. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, man. I'll see you.
Homeschooled Podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschooled Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.